Welcome to the Unstuck Yourself Daily Dose with Brittany Bigley. The Unstuck Yourself Daily Dose is part of the Live Bigley community, giving you the resources and knowledge to help you live the life you were born to lead. Hello, I am Brittany Bigley, and I'm coming to you with the Unstuck Yourself Daily Dose. And today I wanted to pop on here and talk to you about how when we take aligned action, that there is really a grieving process to taking aligned action. And I've spoken about in a past episode where taking aligned action really is this death and rebirth process, because there's a part of you that can no longer come forward into the future. And so I wanted to get into this grieving process because I think that is part of the death and rebirth process, is this letting go, this shedding, this part of you that cannot come with you into the future. And it is a grief process. You are grieving the part of you that can no longer come with you into the future. And so, for example, for myself, I had a grieving process this fall. It was initiated by going to a speaking conference, and I showed up to the speaking conference and I just felt like I had this imposter syndrome. And when I came home, I knew that I had a lot of work on myself, to alleviate myself from this imposter syndrome. I do feel like I'm called to be a public speaker, in the future, whether that's near future or far future. I do feel like I'm called, this is part of my path, but showing up and feeling like an imposter at this speaking conference, I knew that I needed to do some deep work on myself in order to clear the stuff that was in my head that was making me feel like an imposter. So after this conference, I came home and I started to do the deep energetic and somatic work. But really, as I was doing that work and I was getting to my core wounds and I was, clearing and processing some of the stuck around that core wound, there was a grieving process that I had to go through. And I would say that my fall was not a very easy fall. There was a lot of sadness. There was a lot of tears. Unfortunately, there were mornings where I was walking to work and I was in tears, having to grieve the parts of myself that I was processing. And a lot of times I was walking to work and showing up as this raw, vulnerable 4-year-old part of me that I was processing. And so the fall was super hard for me, but I did the work, I grieved it, I allowed myself to feel these feelings of grief and sadness and loneliness, and I held deep compassion for these parts of myself. And what ended up happening is that my stuck started to transform. It no longer had this deep-seated control over my psyche, and it allowed me to start showing up and doing these podcasts and be like, no, I am supposed to be doing this. And you know what? Maybe I'm not perfect. Maybe I need practice, but this is a way that I can start practicing and using this platform as practice to become a better speaker. And so I no longer have that imposter syndrome. Are there parts of myself that still believe that maybe I can't do this? Sure, but it's not such an overwhelming, debilitating part of me that is preventing me from showing up and taking that aligned action towards my goal. So again, when we're taking aligned action, it is a death and rebirth process. And part of that death and rebirth process is this grieving of the parts of self that cannot come with us. It's this letting go. And in order to really properly navigate that process, we need to allow ourselves to feel the grief, feel the sadness, feel that aloneness if it's coming up for you. But allowing us to feel our feelings in this grief process and anger. There's anger in the grief process as well. And so not suppressing those feelings, allowing ourselves to feel it in order to grieve, healthfully. So just wanted to pop on and say that. I would really appreciate it if this resonates with you. Go ahead and give us a like. If you know of someone who could really benefit from this medicine, go ahead and share it with them. If you want content that shows up like this for you consistently, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, thanks for listening and happy healing, and I will see you when I see you. Thanks for listening to the Unstuck Yourself Daily Dose with Brittany Bigley. The Unstuck Yourself Daily Dose is part of the Bigley community, giving you the tools and resources so that you can live the life you were born to lead.